what happens to you no more. I'm not Team Deion Sanders ever again.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about some news that I found to be interesting because it's about a conversation that has been happening a long time in the Black community. And it is the conversation of HBCUs versus PWIs. Now, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about here, what that basically means is that there's a conversation in the Black community about whether or not Black people should go to historically Black colleges and universities versus PWIs, which they call predominantly white institutions. And with this news about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State University, which is a HBCU, the super pro Blacks are pissed off, okay? They're upset and they're calling him a sellout because he's leaving a Black school to go coach at a white school, okay? And again, they're upset because he's basically moving up. He's doing what every single coach, period, tries to do when they're coaching. They try to move up and to get better jobs at better programs in order to make more money, right? That is what they all do. But Deion Sanders is simply being criticized because he's Black and he's not staying at a historically Black school to try to make that school a major football school, even though, again, he did an amazing job there. I think he only lost 5 games since he's been there. I think his record is like 27-5 or something like that. He's done an amazing job of turning the school around and making it a great football school within their own conference. But it's not a Power 5 conference. It's not a school that's going to realistically be able to compete with some of these other bigger schools with more resources and higher quality recruits. Like, for example, let's say like Ohio State or Michigan. Like, it's not gonna be able to compete with one of those kind of schools, okay? It would literally take years and years and years of sustained excellence and having better quality recruits and just building that program in order to get to that level. That's assuming that they continue to win year after year after year. Again, they're playing in a weak conference. So again, it's hard to make a case for a team like that to be a part of a college football playoff. So again, it's one of those things where Deion Sanders would literally have to stay there for the rest of his life to do what these super pro Blacks want him to do. Instead, Deion Sanders did literally what every other coach would have did, and what all coaches do in situations like this is that he took advantage of the success, and then he decided to elevate and to move up to a better program, okay, with more money, more resources, that he could turn around, right? Which was Colorado. And again, that school is not great. Okay, they've been pretty bad over the last few years, and people are upset at him for it. Okay, I mean, he went from a $300,000 salary to making $5.9 million at Colorado. Okay, can't really blame the guy. But again, they're calling him a sellout because of this. And I want to talk about this because this is a part of a broader conversation that happens in the Black community that I want to speak on, because it really is a silly conversation. And I'm going to tell you guys why. So without further ado, let's roll this clip of Bomani Jones on CNN reacting to everybody calling Deion Sanders a sellout. Take a look.
Step into
Deion
other
Sanders
HBCUs.
has spent the last 35 years telling us there ain't but one Deion Sanders. And now he's telling us go find somebody else to do what Deion Sanders does. You can't have this both ways. I don't judge him for taking the job at Colorado. They probably increased his salary by something like 15 times, right? I totally get that. It all makes sense. But what he did was something that college coaches do all the time, which is you have to sell people 4-year, 10-year plans when your plan is always 1 year at a time. That's the only way that you could really pull that off. And so he came in and he sold a long-term vision for what was going on at Jackson State, but his goals and ambitions were always to be a Power 5 head coach. My take has always been he went to Jackson State primarily because he wanted to be a head coach, but didn't want to ever be anybody's assistant coach. So we had to find somebody that would give him a job and make him a head coach, and so he could have that on his resume, and then he could take that to try to get the job that he actually wanted. Jackson State was the place that could do it, and he did a lot of good work while he was at Jackson State. But all the bigger, grandiose notions of what he was doing for somebody else, no, it was what it always is. He did it for Deion, and that's fine if you don't tell us that you're trying to do this for somebody else.
But can't he do both? Can't he go to a program and be there for 3 years, only have 5 losses like he did,
and bring the attention. Maybe the next person won't be, prime time. They won't be as charismatic as he is, but he still did bring attention to it. And what I've seen from the athletic director and other people is they were grateful for him, and they talked about him going on, and something he signaled because of the financial disparities here.
No, he's very good, but I think the magnitude of the financial disparity is so much greater than anybody realizes. I think the magnitude of the financial disparity between HBCUs and other FCS schools, the smaller division in Division I, is bigger than people realize it is. So there's room to criticize him for the way that he has left and for the fact that his initial rhetoric is not in line with his ultimate.
Bomani, what would you have him do? What would you have the man do?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have come in the first place and said that God sent me here to fix HBCUs, and God decided that in the middle of it you were supposed to leave? Right? I mean, like, the thing I've said is maybe God wants 10% of $5 million and not 10% of 375. If God can do math, I can understand why it is. He sold a dream and then walked out on the dream. People have the right to be critical of that. I also would have taken the job that he took at Colorado, right? It's not a judgment of the fact that he took the job, but this is not in line with what he told us for all these years.
Yeah, so Deion Sanders did exactly what every coach, again, regardless of the sport, regardless of their race, regardless of whether or not they go to a HBCU or what, or they coach at HBCU, would have did, okay? They all do the same thing. They start off small, they do good, and then they move up, right? And again, a lot of people are upset because they're saying, well, Deion sold us a dream, right? That he was going to help HBCUs become big time, right? They were going to become Michigan, Ohio State, Florida, okay, Alabama. Well, again, when you go and apply for a job, do you tell your job in corporate America that, hey, I'm only here to work a couple years until I get a job at a better company? You don't tell them that. You tell them, I want to work here for the rest of my life, right? And I want to contribute to this company, even though you know in your mind that that's not the case, that you're going to jump ship as soon as you get a better opportunity. And nobody will ever blame you for jumping ship or call you a sellout. I don't see how that's any different than what Deion Sanders is doing. He's doing what literally everybody does in America in the workforce, is that they jump ship when they have a better opportunity. It's not his job to stay at wherever he's at and to make that school great, right, in the long term if he doesn't want to do that, okay? And again, this is a part of a much broader conversation that has happened in the Black community, right, about HBCUs versus PWIs, right? Historically Black colleges versus predominantly white institutions. This is a debate that was had a lot when I was in college because I went to a PWI, a predominantly white institution, UNC Chapel Hill, okay? And Black people who go to these PWIs are often seen as, again, kind of selling out, or, you ain't really pro-Black, right? You're not really down because you decided to go to a college that's not a primarily Black school, okay? This is something I experienced all the time, right? This is a conversation that was had all the time, okay? It's still being had, obviously. Again, that's what the Deion Sanders thing is. But here's what a lot of these people don't realize, okay? This conversation is pointless and it's divisive because regardless of what school you go to, you should not criticize people who simply want to pursue other or better opportunities because there are resources at other institutions that are not at these HBCUs. And I get people who are upset that, well, these resources are the HBCUs, which is why you have all these, Black students, talented Black people go to these other institutions that are primarily white. I understand that, right? You want the talent to stay there. I get that. I understand that. But here's the thing. There's a disparity in resources across all schools. We're not just talking about HBCUs. When you're talking about choosing a college or a university to go to, you need to be thinking about what school has the best program for what you want to do, right? Like, for example, when I applied for colleges, I applied for like 4. I applied at North Carolina A&T University, which is a HBCU, UNC Wilmington, NC State, and UNC Chapel Hill. I got into all 4 of those schools. What I wanted to go to school for, which was business, UNC Chapel Hill was a better school than North Carolina State University and North Carolina A&T University, right? And that is why I went to UNC Chapel Hill. Now, if I wanted to be an engineer, it might have been a more difficult decision because North Carolina A&T University has a decent engineering program. So again, it might have been a different conversation depending on what you're going to school for. And I think people got to understand that, right? Yes, there are going to be people who are going to, go to these HBCUs, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, right? But ultimately, people are going to do what's best for them, okay? Not for anybody else, but for them. And, the good thing is that regardless of the disparity between schools, okay, if somebody is talented, they're going to succeed no matter where they go to school. Like, for example, I had two friends in high school, a black girl, black guy, right? One went to UNC Chapel Hill. The black guy, he wanted to be a doctor, right? Obviously, UNC is a top medical school, top when it comes to biology, sciences. And then the other girl decided that she wanted to go to North Carolina A&T. Both of them are doctors, right? They both ended up becoming doctors because they're smart. Okay, didn't matter which school they went to. They both ended up becoming doctors. But you can't blame people who say, you know what, I might want to go to a school that has better resources for what I want to go to school for because I think there are going to be more opportunities for me. You can't blame people for doing that. But that's what happens in the black community when you have black, people who decide not to go to these HBCUs, to go to other schools. Again, you kind of get shamed for it, right? You get stigmatized because you didn't go to, North Carolina A&T or Winston-Salem State or Morehouse or, all these schools that, as black people, you're just supposed to go to those schools, right? And if you don't go to those schools, then, hey, you ain't really black, right? Again, that's just kind of how it goes. It's just funny how that works. But again, these are the same people that will boohoo, whine, and complain about black representation when it comes to head football coaches at some of these major Power 5 schools. They say, well, there's not a lot of black head football coaches at these schools that make so much money off black labor. Why are black men not coaching them? You have a black man that gets hired by one of these institutions, and you're still complaining. You're still mad. He a sellout, right? Just because he moved up. He took a promotion. It is what it is, man. You can't blame him for making that decision. But again, this is a conversation that's in the black community. And this is why I tell people, when it comes to black people in corporate America, it's not really the white man holding black people back. It's really other black folks. Because black folks hate seeing other black folks move up, right? They hate seeing other black folks succeed. Jealousy sets in, envy. Oh, he think he too good for us. He done moved up. He big time now, blah, blah, blah. Like, it happens all the time, right? And this is just an extension of that. People just can't be happy for the man that, he's moved up. He got a better job. He's making more money. And just keep it at that, right? Jackson State University will be fine, okay? He changed the culture there. Hopefully the culture, survives and lives on. And we'll see, right? He put the school on the map. And if he turns Colorado around, who knows? Maybe he created a roadmap for more black head coaches to become head coaches at some of these big Power 5 football schools, which is something that all these woke revolutionaries claim they want. Maybe Deion Sanders is paving the way for that to happen, right? I'm just saying. I think people are just making a whole lot of something out of nothing here. But again, it is an extension of a conversation that has happened in the black community for years now. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.